sometimes I really feel that we are living in a season of Silicon Valley.
India, I think right now there's like what 17 or 20 billion dollars that is kept on the sidelines, waiting to be invested in India at the moment, right?
This is Shreyans Sancheti, a Forbes 30 under 30 co-founder of Blue Learn, and a cool person, a sneakerhead of course, a person who brings unfathomable value onto the table. Well, let's dive deep. This is Suprr Cast, and let's get started.
I am the one that optimum. I got the drum, I got the drop on 'em. I got
We audible? I hope that's Kindle. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of Supercast. This is Chandan Perla, and in this episode, we have Shreyans Sancheti. Shreyans, welcome to Supercast.
Glad
Pumped
to
up,
be here,
bro.
Chandan.
Pumped up.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Excited to be here.
Oh,
Thanks
yeah?
for calling us over.
So, it's a pleasure having you. Sure, we work for 9 hours every day, 9 to 12 hours a day. And then, yeah. So, a lot of things I've been having in mind, ranging from the basic level of a tag of Forbes 30 under 30 and to a point of raising a few $1 million to a point of anything and everything. So, these questions are not really scripted, and I think everything that I was saying is probably going to be removed because we want attention, retention, hooks, and anything. So, yeah, production guy, there you go. So, Shreyans, being almost raising more than $4 million, and at the age of 22, if we do some basic math, it's the lifetime value gain or the amount of value that 4 engineers working in the US relentlessly for 40 years constantly would make X amount, and you raise more than that by just being 22.
I'm not sure if that's a fair comparison.
Okay.
Maybe it might be 1 or 2 engineers over their lifetime.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a roller coaster of a journey.
Uh-huh.
And I think being in the right place at the right time with the right skill set also helps a lot. So I think at some point you're just lucky to sort of meet with the right people, be it the co-founders, be it the investors, be it the team, and sort of get the opportunity to raise such a high.
Why do you say it's lucky? Don't you think it's like pure hard work and time that you've put over the years?
It definitely is, but there's a big chunk of luck that also plays with it. I would say maybe even 50-50 luck, hard work. But at the same time, you need to understand how to optimize and increase your surface area for getting lucky, right? So that's also an interesting concept.
So there's this thing I've read from Naval Ravikant, the almanac, definitely. So the number of opportunities that you get is directly proportional to the number of tries that you take, right? So that you increase the surface area, and then
Yeah.
things start to fall in place.
Yeah, exactly.
So what books do you read generally?
So
Or
actually,
documentaries that you're watching?
Yeah, no, so I love reading. I was a big reader back when I was growing up. And then in college, I stopped reading a little bit, as
Oh, yeah?
everyone stops in college. I feel it's so hectic to continue reading in college. But recently, I've got the habit back last 2-3 years. I started off reading Percy Jackson, fiction, huge fan of Greek mythology and all those things. The Kite Runner, The Maze Runner, Divergent, all of those books. But recently, I've started going into a little bit of nonfiction,
Uh-huh.
business books, and all that stuff.
Sure, I mean, you have to, right?
Little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Shan, so let's say when we Google up your name, the first thing that comes is co-founder of Blue Learn, Forbes 30 under 30, and Asia. Sure. But the question that I had is, sure, $4 million is insane, cool, amazing. Forbes 30 under 30 is an undeniably crazy cool tag to have, possess. But if you actually look deep, here's a question. If you were to raise funds in the fastest way possible, how long does it actually take for you to go from 0 to $1 million, and considering you have the same connects as of today? Imagine Blue Learn doesn't exist.
Okay, interesting question. Very interesting question. I think a lot of it depends on how the macroeconomic situation is, right? If there's an economic crash, the stock market crash today, then you could have the best product, you can be the best founder, but you still would find it very, very difficult to raise. Whereas if there's a bull market and if everything is going up, there's a lot of money in the market, then definitely be easy to raise. But I think if I had everything, set up, a good idea, a good team, a good product or revenue or traction, then maybe you could raise $1 million in under a couple of days.
See, we'll get to the product later. But last night I was talking to someone who was mentioning this point, right? Sure, raising funds, external factors such as the market is definitely an important factor to consider. But really looking deep upon, if there is a killer product, there's definitely money waiting for it.
There is 100%. There is, and especially in India, I think right now there's like what 17 or 20 billion dollars that is kept on the sidelines, waiting to be invested in India at the moment, right? But what a macroeconomic situation does is sort of increase the due diligence. It makes it harder to get. So if a great product could have raised, let's say, $5 million in a bull run, that same product is gonna take longer to raise 2.5 million in the bear run. So the volume of amount of money raised differs because of macroeconomic situations, but you're right, money is there for great products or for great companies.
So, are there like two products on top of your mind which you personally think these are crazy good, but getting started? So, I mean,
See,
if you think about products,
I'll give Zerodha. I'll put Zerodha. I know it's not getting started. I
Yeah.
know it's 12, 14 years old, but I still feel like they're still getting started because India's financial journey, financial story is still getting started. So Zerodha still has a very, very long way to go.
Okay.
And plus, if you look at the other giants out there like BlackRock or Blackstone or like these huge investment banks outside, those are the ones that
but
have
Zerodha
really
being a
made-
product and these are investment banks, do you think we can
Yeah.
compare both?
No, exactly. Yeah. So the next generation would be maybe like productized versions of banking or things like that.
Understood. See, while over the last few years, based upon the conversations we've been having, sure, you need a crazy killer good team to raise funds.
Yeah.
Is one of the important parts.
Yeah.
After talking to Vatsal the other day, and Smith is trying to handpick very cool people from 100x.
Oh, wow. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I had no
So
idea.
talking about these, the aspect of team, do you think you have a killer team?
I 100% do.
Oh, yeah?
I believe that we have the best team in the world.
Really?
And I think that is an important belief to have in order to be successful. But no, I think genuinely speaking, the product that we're building is catered for 18 to 25-year-olds. And I strongly believe that the team that is building that product should also be around 18, 25 years old, right? If you're not building the product and making it for yourself, then why would anyone else use the product that you're building for someone else?
See, but while building products is a very cool thing, there is another side to it, right? Like everyone that I talk to, especially from the VC part of it, or someone who has been in the industry either as a CTO or a product officer for the last like 2 decades or 3 decades or so, sure, they're old, relevancy decreases.
Yeah.
But the core integral part of don't you need someone to guide you guys?
Definitely.
Sure, you can hire consultants.
Yeah.
But don't you think experience is something that is needed? And especially being a young, small team, it is an important aspect to think about, right?
Yeah,
How
no,
did you counter
definitely.
that?
So definitely, I think when we first raised our seed round, some of investors and us, we thought, okay, let's now that you have some more money in the bank, let's hire some more experienced people. So
Are
we
we
did
talking about
hire.
the same person?
Yeah, I mean, we did hire a couple of senior people at
Yeah.
Blue Learn also, right? But I think what we also came to the realization is that you don't always need senior experienced people to build great products. Sure, it does make things easier, or in most cases, it does work out. But in sometimes, especially with our focus on building for younger generation, it made more sense to have a younger team. Which is why at any given time we have more dropouts than people above the age of 30. Right?
No, dropouts is a trend that I see increasing. Do you think, see, dropping out is cool. I would say that it's partially cool. But I think, and don't you realize this point that startup is a very small thing in India yet? It hasn't seen the big troughs yet. Do you think, I mean, sure, there is another 20, 30, 40 years where startups are an actual big thing, right?
Yeah.
Imagine, when I say a big thing, imagine someone sitting in tier 3, listening to this and then be like, huh, startup to idhar hi hai? So that's the feeling. So to gain that level of penetration, there is definitely a lot of runway, right? So talking about that, if a person wants to do, if a dropout wants to do anything outside the lines of the periphery of a startup, do
Yeah.
you think it's going to be a challenge?
In today's day and age, yes. I do think that in India, at least, society still values a college degree a lot.
Right, right.
But those who don't have a college degree are also extremely smart people, right? And they did drop out for multiple various reasons. There could be financial pressure also to drop out or things like that. But if someone dropped out to pursue, let's say, entrepreneurship or something, I think that's fully justified, and you don't need society's judgment on building a startup or not. But that being said, let's say you want to crack venture capital or private equity or something like that, right? Traditionally, I haven't seen any dropout in those spaces at the moment.
Okay.
But But I think that's changing slowly.
With this part of transition, there's something cool that I came across like last Friday. So I was talking to someone from Shebang, all right. So Shebang being one of the largest trying to be productized service company. Imagine an agency that is the largest,
Yeah.
one of the largest on the planet,
Yeah, yeah.
across 3 countries, is what they promote it as. Very cool. Great respect to Harshal. Yeah. So on these lines, while I was talking to these guys, they were like, it doesn't matter what his background is. If a person is able to tell stories in an unconventional way,
Yeah.
if a person is able to sketch in the best way possible, we're happy to hire them for 3x of what the market pays. On one side.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I was talking to Accenture. So, you know what they said? They're like, I don't really care if you sold your startup for $1 billion. I want a degree from a government college.
Yeah.
There is a contrast, right? Do you think if this is a mindset that is engraved for decades in generational institutions like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, or Accenture as well, do you think that's going to be a problem for them? In terms of spotting the cool talent.
Yeah. No, I think that's where startups versus corporate, the whole debate comes into play. In traditional corporates, there's a lot of work that they already have. So now they need a lot of workers or executioners who can just carry out that work, right? So they're not looking for people who can think out of the box too much or like people who have high ownership or high freedom. They just need people who can sort of get the work done that Wipro or TCS have been paid for, right? Whereas a startup functions in a completely different manner. The work needs to be discovered and then owned by a certain person and then led to completion along with all the other challenges that they face, right?
This part of agility and streamlinedness and getting stuff done is faster.
Everything, high ownership, high freedom, high creativity, all those things. And traditionally that happens in anything non-corporate, right? So the last 20, 30 years, India has seen a lot of corporates, huge tech companies, BPOs and outsourcing tech to India, right? But as we see...
What is a BPO?
Business processes outsourced.
Okay, like that.
Calling and all that. Hiring, recruiting.
So majorly the call centers or the back
call
offices
centers. Exactly,
come
all
in
in India. Exactly, right? Because that's where work needs to be done and then cheap labor is cheap in India. But now that Indian startups are booming, we're starting to see more and more people come out of that traditional roles of just being workers and start being like high operational thinkers or executioners or people who can, get stuff done, solve problems. And that's going to be a shift in generations also as more and more people from a younger age get exposed to startup. Like, you can take Akshat from our team at Blue Learn, right? He's like 19, 18 when he joined. And he's been wanting to start up for years already, right? I didn't even know what a startup was until I was like 17, 18. So that's a little bit of a difference between even like me and then the generation which is 3-4 years younger than me.
See, the idealization of I want to do a startup, I want to make it big, I want to be that cool guy walking out of a Mercedes is definitely there on one side. And there's on the other side is the wealthy dark side of it. I wouldn't say dark. I would say the unglorified part of it.
Yeah, I think more of the uncertainty part of it.
Yes. And okay, we'll talk about this later. So you were talking about the shift, the generational shifts that are going to happen about the Indian economics as the way the globe has seen, the world business has seen India. So when I was talking to Prashant from JP, so he mentioned something like this, right? Sure, JP Morgan and Chase is one of those cool companies out there in the country right now. The problem is the roles that they recruit for is currently the roles that is the back office. And there's the same trend with the other EY as well. So if the world perceives India to be the back office, I mean, that's the same thing with the banks as well, right? How Indian accounting systems have been working. Imagine this. What would be the next back office if India doesn't want to be?
That's a tricky question. I'm not sure. But if you look at the other way around, India is the only major economy which is not predicted to have a talent shortage in the next 10 years.
Okay.
That's because there are 600 million people in India under the age of 26 today, all called Gen Z, right? And no other country or continent in the world has that sort of numbers. So while, yes, traditionally we have had a large part of outsourced work, but going forward, the young generation is going to prove everyone wrong. Who's going to be the new back office? I have no idea.
See, the people who build the back office, which are some of the biggest today in the country,
Yeah.
are the people who are able to spot those arbitrage benefits, right?
Yeah.
From the West, what the demand is, and here the supply is.
Yeah.
But as data becomes more visible to everyone, what I mean is the accessibility of information. When this keeps growing up, sure. I mean, we still see school debates. I was talking to a small school where this is like a tier 3 school. They have this foundation, right? They have been run under a foundation. The advent to which they discuss topics is something like are still discussing about stuff like, is internet a boon or a bane?
Yeah.
Nee, I would say, sure, few schools let them do, but all the schools in a specific domain are like that. If this is not to change,
Yeah, no, 100% the curriculum and all that needs to be updated. But that's a problem that not just India is facing, but almost a large part of the world is also facing. Outdated curriculum, especially because in the last 20 years, the progress that we have seen has been more than the last 50 years put together, right? So now it's getting difficult for teachers and academia to keep up with the changing trends, which causes the difference in education, right? Which even though 10 years ago, a question like, is the internet a boon or a bane, would still make sense,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But today that makes absolutely no sense,
For sure.
right? But in 10 years, you can't update every single textbook, right? That takes a lot of time.
no. My question on these lines is something like this.
Yeah.
As more and more people get to be under the domain of available to information, is where it also gets very hard, right? When they realize that someone with equal amount of information is able to make 10x being the owner of the company.
Yeah.
So how do you see this going? The
Yeah.
employee and the employer relationships.
I think this is going to lead to more people who are in the middle, which are I'm working for myself.
Oh, yeah.
The rise of freelancers, I think, is definitely something that India is already seeing.
We.
And it's gonna, and it's definitely gonna be, seen more and more. And that's in the middle, right? I don't want to work for anyone else.
Yeah.
I'm neither an employee or an employer. I'm working for
Correct.
myself.
Correct.
Maybe a small team if that's what required.
Yeah.
Solopreneurs of types,
That's definitely where Blue Learn's entire aura comes in.
hopefully.
Definitely, man. So when there are hundreds of experiments that keep going on, going back to a little bit of the tangent that we left before of building startups, we need teams who are like there taking ownership, going firefighting and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Sure, we do have people, but it really gets hard sometimes when the team sizes keep growing bigger.
Yeah.
Based upon your leadership, one of the main aspects that I've seen is you sell the vision, you sell the glorifiedness, you sell this is the big picture where we want to go, this is where I think the next big thing is.
Yeah.
We should definitely get there. But as we grow bigger and bigger, I would say a 27 people team right now, close to 30 people team,
Yeah.
Including the remote people,
Yeah.
it itself is hard right now.
Yeah.
But as a startup, we want to build stuff horizontally, right? The leadership being the horizontal game. So, do you see this as a possibility, like where Deepinder Goyal from Zomato would be doing? Like, how would
100%.
his stuff look like?
100%. I'm actually a big fan of Deepinder. I've seen a couple of his podcasts, read his books and stuff. Not just him, but I feel like any founder-led company, as it transitions into a post 100, 200, 500,000 member team, it starts moving from a founder-led company to like a leadership-led company, and then it goes down to product-led company or like a sales-led company, right? So that transition is difficult. As you mentioned, when beginning of 2023, Blue Learn was, I think, a 12-member team.
Yeah.
And we have almost 2.5x, by this year, 30-member team. And a lot of the processes that were working with a 10, 12-member team all broke.
Everything
Right?
changes.
And everything
bro,
changes.
It feels weird, man.
Yeah.
Like, good weird.
Yeah, no, definitely. I get what you're saying. But I think as the company goes, keeping culture, maintaining and aligning everyone to one same mission and vision statement is the sole job of, let's say, one of the founders. They'll have to keep doing that, because if not everyone's aligned, then you have a bunch of high talented people working on 10 different things in 10 different directions, right? And that's never going to work together. So it's just that if you've seen that movie, Planet of the Dawn of Apes, or Dawn of the Apes, Planet of the Apes, right?
Divide and conquer.
Monkeys together strong, apes together strong.
Shan, sometimes I really feel that we are living in a season of Silicon Valley. Do you still resonate with that?
Yeah, 100%.
I would say the relevancy of fit with Blue Learn was there all-time high like a year ago. Now team is like what? Medium-sized. What's the name of the company?
But in Pied Piper. But
Pied
in
Piper.
Silicon Valley, they also scale the team. They also go from 3 to 5 to 10 to 20 to 30, 100, 500. Then they got those offices.
And they shut down. That's not.
Who knows, right? We'll have to see the whole Blue Learn story to see where it goes.
Nee, I see this one more thing going on. The part of segments of people working in a startup having the interest to start up by themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That is definitely a good thing. But from the startup founder's point of view, it gets lonely.
No. Oh, I mean, I was saying from a startup's point of view.
Startup founder's point of view.
From a startup founder's point of view, watching one of your own teammates start up, I think is one of the most proudest moments.
Agreed.
And I have had the privilege to already witness 2 of those.
Correct.
Ishan Gupta, who then went to YC and
Dyumna.
raised, and Dyumna, who just, left and raised a small check.
Yeah.
I think that just is a testament to our people, our culture, our environment, our learning. That if, 6, 8, 12 months at Blue Learn inspired someone so much to, not just inspired, allowed them to learn also enough to go out there
And build something by
and build something by
themselves.
themselves, raise capital for themselves. I think that is a great testament to everything that we're doing here. It's similar to the PayPal mafia, the Flipkart mafia, right?
How lonely do things get?
It does. I think there's this quote that said, the higher up you go, the lonelier it gets. That's why a bus has 40 seats and a Lamborghini has 2. But at the same time, I think it's something that you need to sort of work with. It's part of the job description, and if it's something that you need to, it's like a doctor can't be scared of blood,
Yeah.
right? Or a surgeon can't be scared of blood. If you're scared of blood as a surgeon, then is that the really right career path for you? And so same, I would say being slightly isolated is a part of the job. If you're scared of that, then is that really the right job for you?
Coming from a family, B2B, Boston to Bangalore, and being with the people, growing with the people, like let's say Sambhav Jain, who's the co-founder of this company called Nakad, and raised almost like more than $7 million just within 3 months of its inception.
Yeah.
That's it. And there is Labor Law Advisor. So a YouTuber who is able to scale stuff so well and able to build like 5 different products. About him, I think it's a whole different podcast, right? So Rishabh is the person. And I had a privilege to talk to him once, and he's very deep on the wants, needs, and get done. So he's like, is this what you want? Get this done. Done. So that is part. And coming from a family where the businesses have been generationally there, the part about Rajasthan, like, how does it feel? Like, is there some sort of I'm not saying any sorts of pressure, but does it actually make you want to just close the doors and then do something like SSS, self-sustainable Sanchetis?
That is one of the funniest things I've heard.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't think that makes us want to do that. But no, definitely having such high achieving cousins like Sambhav and Rishabh Jain,
Yeah.
Shreyans Bansali.
And we should talk about Maven.
Maven, yeah,
Maven,
co-founder of
yeah.
Maven, and all these guys. I'm my grandfather who started off with multiple businesses.
Yes.
I would say, yeah, maybe entrepreneurship does run in the family, but my dad, my grandfather were both working professionals, engineers, right? So it's not in my immediate family, but it's in my cousins as such. But it is definitely an inspiration to look at them and see how they're building stuff. And it does make you want to do something of your own, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see.
And I should definitely mention this point, right? Coming from a family where I should talk about your dad. I met Uncle multiple times. So he's a very silent person. And he being one of the senior executives at an investment firm, Fidelity, whose investments are more than like $4 to $5 trillion.
Assets under management, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think growing up in a family where I had a good fortune of, seeing a lot of exposure.
Has it
to
got
the
something to do with
financial-
finance?
Yeah, definitely, right? Definitely. I think from the beginning. Wall Street Journal has always been on our table. CNBC or Economic Times has always been on TV. So I've always been exposed to certain elements of finance or Wall Street. And it's just part of, since my dad was at Fidelity. So I think that's a privilege that I've had. And I do consider my role model. So yeah,
Good to know that.
lots to learn.
Shreyans, family is different. Your goal and your interest is different, right? If not Blue Learn, what would you do? What would you be building? Would you be building?
I probably would not. When I was in first year of college, my goal was probably to go into finance, either be a trader or an investment banker. Those were my two, sort of sort out plans. But after meeting Harish, after COVID, after so many different things, it just changed, and entrepreneurship just happened. I do think that you can't force fit entrepreneurship. It has to just sort of happen.
Of course.
Either you're trying to build a side hustle, it turns into a company, or you're working with someone, you get an idea, and it becomes a company, right? But if you try to force fit, it's tough.
I agree.
It's tough. So I would probably be working in finance or something. But after watching Suits, I really want to be a lawyer also. At one point, I found being a lawyer very, very cool.
Which one did you like, Harvey Specter or Mike Ross? Don't say Mike Ross.
Why not? I like micro. No, but like lawyers also pretty cool.
For sure. And I had this last question / snippet that I had in mind. I was talking to someone from a pure math background last night, okay? He's a researcher. I forgot the university that... He's one of the top universities on the planet for deep analytics. What he does is he builds models and sells them to Netflix
Oh wow,
to analyze user understanding.
That's
like
crazy.
what they liked, what they tapped, where their cursor was.
such a great niche.
Yeah. And now he's like, I'm bored. I don't want to do that. He's like, I don't want to build products that make me money. Sure, I mean, one of them has been getting me money with which I fund other things.
Yeah.
So what have you been funding? Funding is where he's working on a logistics company where imagine payloads of a drone company, a drone that can transport a payload of like 20 tons, being energy efficient and economically feasible. So, and scalable, yeah, of course, productization.
Smart guy.
So, he mentioned to me this point, right? Being an entrepreneur, are you actually doing stuff that is needle moving? What's your answer to that?
I hope I am working on things that are needle moving, but I think in any startup, the first 50 to 60 or maybe even 100 employees, if each of them are not working on needle moving stuff, then the direction and speed of company is going to be very slow.
Sure.
So everyone needs to work on needle moving things, but then how do you define a needle is different for different people, right?
I would agree. Because, let's say, the domain that person A comes from, maybe climate change. Person
Yeah.
B comes from socio-economic things.
Yeah.
Everything is
So
different.
needles completely change. But
in the education space,
In
in
the
the
education-
hiring space, in the
Yeah.
job space.
in the job space, I hope that, over the last 10 months, 11 months since we launched our own internship platform, we have gotten over a couple thousand people placed and gotten them internships, right? And I think that is, and fully organically.
Yeah.
So I hope that is some sort of needle that's being moved. And we've also helped a lot of people generate income through freelancing on Blue Learn and even learn a new skill. So I definitely do see that there is some impact. I really hope that there is some impact that's being created. And we can only hope to 10x, 100x that someday.
For sure, Shreyans. Okay, so before we end, do you want to say something to audience?
Yeah, no, please like, comment, share, subscribe to Suprr Cast. No, I'm kidding. But if anyone does want to start up, I think now's the best time. India's the best place. And just go for it. Just go for it.
Do you have an ending note?
I do not.
Oh,
Was I
really?
supposed to have?
There's no paper, so no note.
No, not.
No note. I don't think that landed well. On that note, ladies and gentlemen. Wait. Arvind, am I frozen? No. I like Rapunzel, so not frozen. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chandan Perla, and you're watching Suprr Cast episode, a brand new one, with Shreyans Sancheti. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, man.
And
It
see
was
you tomorrow
great.
in the office.
It was great being here, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And it's a pleasure having you. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Suprr Cast. And again, my name is Chandan Perla. Let me do it with this voice. See you in the next one. Bye.